So we have our finished cover, and now we have to fill it. So I have a whole stack of papers just off camera here, and I am going to do this junk journal style, mixed paper style. So I have to tear things down to size so that it can fit in here, and I think I'll probably have maybe 4 signatures. That's how many is in here. You can tell by my stitches. Yeah, 4 signatures probably seems good. Yeah, that'll be perfect. So I want to have 4 bundles of papers, and yeah, so I'm going to probably speed this up just a little bit, and so that, because I'm not really going to talk through tearing down pages. I will say I do like to tear my pages versus cutting them straight with the X-Acto knife, because I love that deckled edge. So, and some of my pages are already kind of wonky shaped, and they're all going to be slightly different sizes or different lengths. I'll make sure that they all stay within the length of my cover at the end, probably, or as I'm going. We'll see how as I go. Yeah, so like here's an example of one. These are just notebook pages. They're just so nicely yellowed and worn, and they're like extra yellow around the edges. So I'll fold it in half, and you can see like that's not gonna need an edge ripped off. So I'll leave that straight edge, but I'll probably rip here. Actually, what I would probably do, honestly, is rip here and rip here, because I don't like having a straight and then a ripped edge. I want them both the same. So yeah, so I'm going to be using a bone folder for folding to make sure my folds are nice and crisp and that they fit together nice and tightly. And I will probably I'll put a ruler here and I'll rip against the ruler to get it straight but still a ripped edge look. Well, not looked, it will be a ripped edge. And yeah, so watch along. I have my ruler here, and I'll just, so once this is closed, so I kind of don't want my papers longer than 5 inches, maybe 5 1/8, definitely no longer than 5 1/4 inches wide. So that will be that measurement, goodness. And then this way, absolute max 7 1/2, 7 1/4 would be lovely for height. So there we go. So this is an old drawing of mine, or print reproduction of a drawing of mine, when I had a calligraphy business. And it's printed on a like matte coated paper, so that did not tear nicely because it's in 2 different layers, but we made it work. So now I'm just going to tear everything down to size, and we'll see you in a bit. this little tray that I was using to gather bits and pieces to possibly use in this book. And when I was digging through my bin that I have, I found 4 sheets of deli paper. So I have a whole box of deli paper that was in my studio in Florida, but since most of that is in storage because we're between houses right now, I have cherished 4 little pieces. So I'm going to put 2 in this book. And I also found 2 of my drawings, so I'll fold those. This is just brown paper. I think it was from a grocery bag. These are paper filters that my sister-in-law gave me in a bin of all of her old school supplies. I am not quite sure what they are for, but I like that they're perfect circles. And then there was this paper, which I think it almost seems semi-shiny, but it's textured kind of like watercolor paper. We'll see. Paints might not like that, but that's the point of doing all these mixed pages, because you never quite know what your result is going to be. And then this was just brown packing paper, but I love working on this because some colors show up just gorgeous on this. So I'm going to rip some of that down. I also had these black sheets, which I love. They were from a little notebook, but I just don't know if I want a page that small, and the pieces are already small to begin with. So I might just save those, maybe sew it in somehow, or just tip it in. It can be like a flip out page or something to be able to work on the black. All right, so let's rip these ones down and then get to sorting out our signatures. signatures, I'm going to start marking in my book where I'm going to punch holes in the spine. I am doing a long stitching pattern here, and so I have, or I think it's a long stitch with loop. I can't actually remember the name of it. I'll look it up and put it in the description below, but I'm doing 4 signatures. So I'm going to need 4 holes across. So I'm measuring everything out here and marking them with this fantastic pencil. This is a Stabilo All pencil. It's kind of like a watercolor pencil, but it literally writes on everything. Glass, metal, plastic, fabric, paper. It's water activated. You can erase it with water. It's fantastic. One thing I wish I had done differently here was made these marks on the outside of my cover and punched my holes from the outside going in. It's not the biggest deal that I did it from the inside out, but going from the outside in would push all of the cardboard towards the middle or towards the inside instead of towards the outside, as I found that I had little bumps on the outside cover. You can't really tell now that the stitching's in, but just my own preferences, I would have rather it been the other way around. Next, I'm going to make a template for marking the holes in my signatures. I have a very thin pen that I hoped would fit through the holes and succeeded in fitting. So I marked out all of my holes because even though I measured and they're all the same, ideally, each row might be slightly different, and I want to make sure that each signature matches the holes in the cover perfectly. So I'm going to fold this for each signature and then mark the signatures and punch the holes through the signatures. You can see on this signature that that inner floral paper isn't getting that first hole. It's really okay as long as some of the other holes hit it. It's still going to be secure in my book. All right, we're going to punch all the rest of the signatures, and I think that's enough homework for you if you're following along. So come back for the next video and I'm going to show you how to sew all of these signatures to your cover, and you will have a finished book. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.